what is the profile of a spender? How does that look?
Well, the spenders and debtors are in the same category. Basically, they pay for major purchases with debt, such as credit cards. Amazingly, banks hand out credit cards without an operating manual. Also, they did a lot of market research, these banks, that you will stay longer in debt if they only bold the minimum only payment. Credit cards are a huge moneymaker for the banks. Spenders make purchases that can't be paid off out of 100% out of monthly cash flow. Once they get into a trap of buying first, then they work to pay themselves off over time. And as soon as they pay off, they go back into the debt. And here we go again. We're trapped in a debt cycle. Afterwards, they just keep going over and over, back and forth into paying off, getting back into debt, paying off. And if there's an emergency or anything, boom, you're back in debt again. This is referred as living below the zero line or a hamster wheel finance.
Okay. So if I'm reading this chart correctly, the line down, going straight down, is the purchase or going into debt, and then the stairways to the right are the payoff, and it's just kind of, as you said, cycling through. Each time they want to buy something, they just go into debt, pay it off, and then that's it. Is that how we read this chart?
Yes, you're correct. Exactly.
Now, just out of curiosity, the spender behavior, is it isolated to a certain income bracket, or does it span all walks of life? What have you found?
No, there are families where they're in a very good income bracket. The primary income earner takes in more than the average Canadian household, and they live in a spender category. So to answer your question, spenders can be found in all income brackets and levels. Banks love these people by continuously increasing their credit to hang themselves. They just you have your credit card, and then all of a sudden you get a little statement saying, "Hey, congratulations, you've now qualified for more." So they give you more, and these people will run more up, and they get to a point that they can hang themselves with all the debt and credit that they have.
Yeah, they're easy to dish out the credit, especially if you have a decent credit history. So it looks like we've got an interesting chart here. It's called the spender. Couple of tanks and lines and some plumbing here. Do you mind just going through and explaining what this is and how do we read this?
Yeah, the left-hand side is basically the income tank, the money that comes in. And if you see that red, that's basically an obligation that you have to pay before you can do anything else. As the money flows through, the little red button on the bottom is your taxes. We always have to pay taxes. And then if you see the little pink line that leads up to your borrowed funds, that's where the money is going to be paid off, pay off your debt, your credit cards, your minimum payment. Anything that goes past that is gone. It's what you're living in lifestyle. So typically the spender spends 100% of their income on today. They're not focused about for tomorrow. They have no access to collateral, and the only option they have is major purchases is with some form of credit. Borrowers and pays back and plus interest.
Yeah, so like you said, basically on the hamster wheel, whatever's flowing in straight out the pipe, and no savings, nothing.
Correct.
All right. So what challenges will a spender face if they stay on this hamster wheel, as you mentioned it? Like what challenges would they face long term?
The major challenge, it's the cycle of taking on debt for purchases, paying it down and continuing it again, and making it very difficult it makes it very difficult to create a safety net, let alone any personal wealth for the future. You're just constantly on that hamster wheel finance.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I've heard people use the term other people's money, OPM. Can it be argued that these people are using other people's money for their purchases, and is that they're feeling kind of smart? Is there any response to that or any argument?
I've heard a lot of people say that. I love using other people's money, OPM, and this is considered it, but you have to look at it from a standpoint that they're using the money to satisfy current lifestyle, not to invest for tomorrow. And they're paying rates of 20 plus, 21 to 29% on their credit cards, for example. And I was talking to an American colleague of mine, and he was saying that loan sharks in the States charge less than that. So it's just unbelievable, just trying to think that you're almost at 30% trying to pay off your debt. You're never going to get out of that hole.
Wow. Well, almost better off seeing the guys in New York, Uncle Guido, for your money than going into debt here in Canada with a car.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
not recommended.